The second half is about to begin. We need to change the scoreboard. It's time for all of us to pause and rethink the game plan in order to save the future. I call on all of us to be game changers because greatness isn't reserved only for some people. By buying local, we're choosing to create jobs and sustain the ones we have. Time and time again, South Africans have taken destiny into their own hands, creating products that the rest of the world wanted to buy. See, the world remembers about us what we sometimes forget, but it's time for change. Let's all buy local. It's game time. Zanzi.
Local is lekker.
Your everyday decisions shape our future.
Our everyday decisions shape our future, says the legendary Dr. John Kani, who is narrating the Proudly South African message on all our platforms and in the public domain currently. Hello, everybody. Hello, welcome to this much anticipated chat with my good friend, Rob Byrne, the one and only Rob Busy. Hello, Rob.
Hello, Happy. Great to be with you again. Isn't it fantastic that we can interact like this with you where you are and me where I am? And, it's just like we're sitting around a coffee table sharing a coffee like we have done in the past.
Like we have done in the past. You know, Rob, for a second, it felt like it's a beautiful throwback, isn't it?
It is. It is a beautiful throwback, and I don't know how many people know the backstory to it, but you were very brave once upon a time, Happy. Brave, crazy, it might be interchangeable in this setting, but yes, we remember the time fondly and humbly and beautifully. Yeah, it's great.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, Rob. People that know me very well will agree with you that I was very brave at some point. And I always joke and I say, your parents and God do not give you a name, Happy, and then your life is not a movie. Your life has got to be a movie. You've got to be brave. You've got to be ambitious. You've got to make things happen. You've got to take the leap of faith. And I think that's what you're making reference to.
Oh, bless your parents. They got it so right, didn't they? They got it so right. Absolutely.
Oh, so great to see you, Rob. We're going to chat a little bit about that commercial that you just saw, which I'm hoping you've seen in the past. But if you haven't, that's fine. We'll play it again at some point. But I thought, the purpose of this, what we call it Proudly South African Local Friday Chats, it's a very laid-back conversation. It's really a laid-back conversation where we talk about all things local. From a lifestyle perspective, because it's one thing for us to say local is lekker, but we've got to demonstrate exactly what we mean when we say local is lekker. And as we were going through, and when we thought of inviting you to be part of the chat, we thought, you are the undisputed king of traffic reporting in South Africa. I referred to you the other day when I was doing my post as the country's treasure, because you make it sound so easy. And you make it sound like you are there. You could be in Durban, in the Western Cape, in Soweto, in Pretoria, in Bloemfontein at the same time. How do you do it?
That's very kind. That's very kind of you, Happy. It wasn't always that way. Some people that may remember the first a few tries I had of doing traffic in South Africa, wasn't always. Some of the pronunciations, of course, and maybe I still have them. People do like to hear me say the word "verrigting" from time to time, and there's other little ones like that crop up. But look, it's what I do, and I have a passion for it. And I think that whatever you're doing, you would know this, Happy, more than anybody. If what you do is also your passion, it just comes together nicely. And I'm very lucky. And, with what I do, it so much is when you wake up in the morning, you know you've got to come and do traffic. So much of what's happening in traffic becomes the national story very, very quickly. Like we had yesterday in Cape Town, the Khayelitsha protest. It very quickly became the top story of the day because of what was happening, not only because of the impact on the roads. That was probably, in terms of the national story, the least of the issue, but it became an issue because of the underlying issues that were there and were the cause. So, you know, every day is different. It's never the same. And, you know, South Africa is, I just love saying it's alive with possibility, isn't it? That it really is. And there's something different happening every day. And to be a part of sort of watching that and finding it and being able to bring that to the surface and bring it to the people, it's really exciting.
It is. No, I couldn't agree with you more. You know, as we were preparing for this in the week, my colleague said you must find out from him how he gets to do it, because it sounds like he's at Spaghetti Junction, and then it feels like he's on Potchefstroom Road in Soweto at the same time. And how does he know all of this? And I said, well, you know, Rob may be from the UK, but he is South African by choice. Am I correct? Since 2002.
Yes, about that. Yes, it's a long time. Yes, absolutely. This is home. I'm married to a South African wife, and lovely Lara, and South African kids, and it's you know it is home. And my children yesterday were having a look on. There was something on TV. They were watching something on TV, and a map of Africa came up. And you know, we were right down, because we're in Cape Town, we were right down the bottom, and they were marveling about just how beautiful our little space is at the bottom of the world where we are. And I say to them, you know, I've been lucky enough to see a few different countries and live in a few different areas. Everywhere is nice. You know, the scenic and the scenery and what have you, the landscaping and a lot of places are nice. But what makes South Africa for me is the people. It is the mixture of the cultures that come together. And if you can find a place where multiculturalism is natural, then that's fantastic. I mean, I've been in places where it's a multicultural environment, but it's sort of the people have been invited or they've moved into there. In South Africa, there's a lot of people that feel like their culture is South Africa, and that's a great melting pot and mixing pot. And we are so rich because of that. We are so lucky, and I hope everybody really understands that. Yeah. It really is something very powerful.
Yeah, and I speak for many South Africans when I say that you know, we're so grateful that you are South African by choice. In fact, I was joking with our PR manager, proudly South African, is from the UK, and I know three of you now. So it's Darren, who's the PR manager. Rob Byrne is also from the UK. So is Lloyd Conwell, who is the founder of the Delicious Festival. And the three of you are saying you are South African by choice. You know, you love it, and you've just demonstrated to us exactly what it means for you to be part of South Africa, to be South African. You know?
Absolutely, and I was talking about earlier, you know, with the job that I do, waking up every morning and finding out, you know, what's happening. But even as a South African, we wake up every morning to just some sort of drama that unfolds, doesn't it? I can't think, and I tell a lot of people this, I can't think of actually a more exciting place to live in the world, because in a sense we are still finding our feet, we are still growing, we're a very young democracy, very young country, but we're doing it, and you know, it throws up this and that and everything. It's very exciting. It's great.
It is. So just before we get into the what we call the crux of the matter, you know, as a communicator, you set a tone. You don't just dive in. You created tone, but it reminded me when we started, where you said that you know, we've done this before. I mean, when we spoke offline, you said to me, we broke the internet at some point. Let's do it again. And I just want to quickly share that, you know, as a marketer, you have got to try and seize the moment, right? So when we worked at Metro FM, I mean, I was a colleague of yours at Metro, and as part of the PR strategy, I thought, you know, because I'd been managing the Metro FM Music Awards for so many years, and the fourth year, 3 years down the line, I think I thought, what is going to be the differentiator this time around that we can add on to this, massive project that's going to, that's going to really just be the thing that South Africans are looking for but are not expecting. And I remember giving you a call and I said, Rob, you've got to come to Durban with us to the awards. And you said to me, oh, that sounds great. I'm sure I'd love to go to Durban. I'll take the family and all of that. And I said, but I've got a job for you. You're going to present an award. I think you nearly fell off your chair because you're not that type of guy. You're a more behind the scenes type of guy, right?
Yeah, correct. And you talk about South Africans weren't expecting, and they certainly weren't expecting that. So no one was, but it was great. When was it? 2014, 2015?
2013, yes, I think it was
2013, maybe 2013, 14, somewhere like that.
Yes.
It was a while ago, but it was great to be a part of. And talk about being thrown in the deep end. I had no idea what it would involve.
Yes.
Happy, yeah, okay, happy, sure, I'll do that, yeah. And then next thing you're up there at a live to TV stage of the music award. It was presenting Best Pop Album, wasn't it, to Mafiki Zolo back then? But
Yes.
bless them, that was great, yeah.
But Rob, don't underplay this because we've got to say this at this, now, here and now, that when you took onto stage and your presenting partner, I partnered you with Refilo Mpakanyana.
Refilwe, yes, Refilwe, yes.
Yes. So you were with Refilo Mpakanyana and all the South Africans, all they saw was Refilwe and some white dude, that was walking up the stage. And then you took that mic and you said, hello, everybody, I'm Rob Byrne. Let me tell you, actually, I've just had goosebumps because I went straight to that moment where we couldn't get, the show couldn't go on for at least a good 3 minutes because the audiences lost their mind. Did you know that you were that loved?
No, it was a complete surprise. I thought it was quite normal that people go up and everyone stands up and gives them a round of applause. I thought that was quite normal. But then after, like you said, after about 2.5 or 3 minutes, I thought, okay, this isn't quite normal. And then post event it became very clear what was happening. It was very magical. It was a room full of love, and it was really great to be a part of, and something that we'll never forget. And anyone that was there shared it. It was beautiful. It was lovely.
Oh man, the outpouring of love from South Africans. I mean, and it was a live show.
Yes.
So a live show. We had to add on 3 more minutes because you can't say that people must keep quiet. We had to let those moments happen. But the outpouring of love was just amazing. And fast forward to a week after the event, that from a PR perspective turned to be the highlight of the awards. Yes, people won awards. That's what the ceremony is about. But the fact that you showed up and South Africans got to meet you was what sold the show. A moment I will never forget. So thank you for that. Thank you for making it, for playing such a critical role in that whole scenario.
Thank you, Happy. It was lovely, and you're right. You might want to ask South Africans to keep quiet, but they won't. South Africans won't keep. They won't. They don't keep quiet, do they? If they've got something to say or some love to show, that's the most beautiful thing about it. It's going to be shown. It's going to be said. Absolutely.
Yeah. So moving on to our discussion today around localization. I mean, so we My view, and it's the view of the campaign that I work for, Proudly South African, is that the pandemic has forced us as a people of South Africa and as the world over to pause for 1 second. The pandemic, in the context of the South African economy, has forced us to pause and rethink our loyalty to South African products, to South African services, in the absence of imports. Because at some point there wasn't anything coming into the country. So South African products have carried us because the farmers were out at work, which are essential workers, were out at work. At no point was the country under threat of running out of food. which brings us to the reality and what we're trying to spread as Proudly South African and educate the public about the fact that local products are important, that we've got great local products, we've got affordable local products, and we've got accessible local products. And the pandemic, unfortunately, it took a disaster such as the pandemic to remind some of us. What is your take on that?
No, look, you're absolutely right, but it's a game changer, isn't it? It's nothing less than that, where everyone gets sent home apart from essential workers, and we're stuck in home on a lockdown, and out only for medical treatment, food and supplies, and very little else. So we all went through that together. It is a shared experience. It's a shared memory, and who knows, the way things are going globally, that may happen again. It certainly is in a lot of other parts of the world. But we are doing something, aren't we? That it's a bit different here, and that I think that needs to one day be looked at. I don't think it's anything short of a miracle what's happening so far in South Africa with COVID. But through that time, people did change their habits, and thank goodness, because we were getting it was a little bit out of control, I think, wasn't it? And for me, what I liked was the way that nature came back, the way that we were seeing ostriches in shopping centre car parks, and buck walking down streets through parts of Pretoria East, and all sorts of animals and nature coming back out on the golf courses that would normally be full of golfers in Kruger, full of animals. Instead, it was a wonderful, wonderful time. The air was cleaner. The pollution had disappeared. Just the general pace of life. We were going at 100 million miles an hour, and all of a sudden to zero. And I think we woke up and said, okay, no, this is actually, it is a reset. It is a reset. It was a reset. So, there's a lot of harm that was done as well. We can't overlook that. A lot of people without jobs and still without jobs. It's a massive, massive hole in the economy, and a massive effort to rebuild that, and things like that start with buying locally. That's really obvious, isn't it? That's the most obvious and probably the quickest way that we can build the economy back, and that we can get out of this and get to the other side of it and be in a sort of holistically better place, because we are buying stuff that's made here. We're supporting local economies, and we're supporting, not only the local economy, but that's local families and local people. And the story about, one earner can go and do 4 or 5 or 6, can support 5 or 6 other people. So it's absolutely vital, and it is the way that we're going to get the economy back on its feet quicker than I can think of any other way to do it, is to buy and support locally. And I think what happened through lockdown as well is a lot of supply chains were open that hadn't been there before. When all of a sudden you can't buy maybe your cigarettes or your alcohol. South Africa has a way, doesn't it? Has a way of getting around these things. And all of a sudden, people in the suburbs have got supply chains operating, and you know where to go, and and that is now carrying on, and it has carried on. There's this whole new business, this whole new raft of businesses that have been set up, people at home, buying and selling local goods. Just the other day, we were in a supermarket. We were looking for some peanut butter, some proper peanut butter, without all the bits and pieces in it, just peanuts. And my wife said, and I was looking at it, it was difficult to find, and the price as well. When did peanut butter get that expensive? Just noticed a lady that lives down the road that's making it and selling it. We should get that. And I said, yeah, of course we should. It's about a third of the price. It's better for you, and it just works. That's the story, isn't it? Just sharing things around, and sharing the produce around, and moving the economy like that. It's wonderful stories. Absolutely. And there's plenty of that. That's just one little anecdote. There's plenty of that. We were talking about we were talking about avocados. We were with a friend the other night. They had these beautiful big avocados. Yeah, I buy them from a lady down the road. That's the more you go, the more that's true.
It's about, not even having to drive outside of your neighborhood, or even just driving down the road and go get your local bread and your avocado, like you say, or any other essential just down the road, as opposed to driving to another suburb. And I think this period in particular reminded us of that. And it could be a principle that we live by going forward in an effort to support our own from a local perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing that I'm certainly hearing a lot of is people are saying, no, I'd rather support them because they're local. I'd rather go and support, or I try and put some money into to locally, and it's happy. I talk about peanut butter, I talk about avocado, but if I pick up my local if I pick up my phone and look at my local WhatsApp group, there's all sorts of things on sale in there. And, a great overwhelming majority of it is stuff that's made locally, either fresh produce, you're talking fruit and veg, or some flowers and seedlings that you might want to go because it's spring and summer and do the garden, and that's all local. Or it's other fast moving consumable goods and what have you. So, it's great, but also because people have lost their jobs, I think they are finding some income streams, obviously, in that. So that's going to be a good thing if there is an initiative to buy South African. If that message is really, really out. I will say one thing on that, and kudos to, I hope I can say this, Checkers and their support for the wine industry. I think what they've done there is very, very clever, very, very clever. It's a very powerfully impacting ad about, if you buy this bottle of wine, someone's had to pick the grapes, someone's had to grow the grapes, someone's had to make the wine, bottle it, truck it. It's the whole thing, and it's the whole community. It's not just farmer. It's the farm, and it's a massive amount of people underneath that through the growing and development and supply chain. It's huge. Very well done. It's one that really, really stands out as and brings it home as how we buy local, how it can help many people.
And I couldn't. You on the money there, Rob, because it's what you've just shared with us now. It's the reality of the domino effect that it has on in that space. It's not only a bottle that you grab off a shelf at Checkers or at Pick n Pay or wherever the case may be. It's about the fact that that bottle did not get into that retail store by magic. It's from the farm to the actual somebody taking care of the crop, somebody making sure that it goes for manufacturing, somebody making sure that it's bottled, it's packaged, and then there's the logistics part of it to make sure that it gets to consumers. And all of that is a value chain, and it's jobs behind the scenes. And job losses is a big reality for us. I mean, even the statistics yesterday, I think we were told that we're sitting at about almost 40%.
It's dire, and it's desperate, and we need to get people back working. It's it's just much better for the country. The more people that are working, the more the economy's growing, the better people feel, the productivity goes up. It is employment underpins the world that we live in, really. And like I was saying a little while ago, that by creating that local employment, it's the way to get the local economy. It's the quickest fix you could possibly apply. And it's pulling all the role players together and making sure, from government ministers right through to people like yourself and the Proudly South African organization, and right through the chains, that everyone is on the right track. And wouldn't it be great, Happy? Wouldn't it be great that the success that we're having at this stage with the COVID, wouldn't it be really nice to match that success in terms of the economic growth? And I was thinking yesterday about just things like energy, just things like the energy space and the world that we're about to move in there. I mean, look at the amount of sunshine we've got. I come from Cape Town. Look at the amount of wind we have in Cape Town. I believe Port Elizabeth is called the Windy City, right? We don't lack for natural resources. We don't lack, right? And we're on this sort of point of the way that we get our energy changing dramatically. I mean, banks and funders, they're just not interested in coal anymore. It's all new energy, and the amount of jobs that we can create from that. We talk about the natural the wind and the sun and the natural elements that we have to power that. But, you know, build a couple of factories and start building some of those wind turbines and start exporting that technology, start building some solar panels and exporting those. Start, I don't know, start regulation that says every new built house should have a solar panel and a wind turbine on it, right? Because that's, and it's because it's good for the country, it's good for the environment, and it just creates employment. And there's so many opportunities, and like I say, let's hope that we can let's hope that becomes actually the next big story in South Africa, is this great sort of jobs and economic renaissance. We can do it. It's not impossible.
It's not impossible, it's doable. And I'm sure you would agree that, you know, localization, particularly at this point, I mean, even before the pandemic, we all know the economy was already in trouble. This period this year in 2020 is just the final nail on the coffin. It'll take us, you know, a bit of time to get back to where we need the economy to be at. But it's not going to take only the efforts of proudly South Africans. It's going to take the efforts of everybody. It remains everybody's responsibility. You know, in 3 weeks ago, when the president announced the economy recovery plan, and he mentioned localization plus minus 20 times, and his parting shot was, the time is now for everybody to play their part, for a lack of a better word. Yes, the government is held accountable, obviously, you know, but in light of the fact that every South African knows somebody who's looking for a job. It could be themselves, it could be a spouse, it could be a sibling, a neighbor, a relative. Somebody out there is looking for a job. And if we don't play our part as a nation to ensure that we save the jobs that we do have, to ensure that when we go to buy our products and our services or whatever the case may be, we prioritize on local first. Because the reality is, it's very simple. If we prioritize on buying stuff that has been brought into the country, and I say that with the responsibility that it comes with, because we've got WTO regulations, but we've also got, you know, we're not operating in isolation. We're part of a global space. So there's import and export issues that we've got to be mindful of. But you know, essentially, if all of us as South Africans choose to buy products that are coming from elsewhere, we're essentially creating a demand and a job wherever it is, right?
Yes.
And what happens to our products on our own shelves, and what happens to those jobs that we need to maintain and sustain and create, to even begin to deal with social ills, because some people are now finding ways to try and survive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, fundamentally, what should underpin any good governance of any country is support for its population. And the quickest way that you do that is to create employment and just lift and start lifting people up. You know, we're a rich country. We've got, you know, we're a rich country. We've got a terrific building block, a terrific foundation to build upon. And it is just, you know, it's more than having a vision, it's more than having an idea, it's actually putting that into place, and it's actually having the infrastructure in place to support that as well. So, you know, it's a big deal. You don't just sort of wake up one day and hear, okay, bye South Africa, and it happens. It's a continual messaging, you know, through the social channels and through the traditional media, coming from government, coming from ministers. Every time anyone wants to open their mouth and talk about it, they've got to be saying, buy local, support local, create jobs. It is doable. It's very, very doable. And I would think it's the most important and pressing issue that we've got ahead of us. And you know, when you're in the shops, you know, proudly South African labels on products, it should be, you know, identifiable that is, you know, that is in a big way, not a tiny little or not a little thing around the bottom of the can or something, but
huge way, in a big way.
Yeah, there's the label. Everybody knows if you buy this, it is made, and that's the other thing. We've got to be sure about that, don't we? have a South African that opens a factory and imports stuff, and because he's South African, he's proudly South African. It's got to be, it's got to be made here, doesn't it? And then,
It's about that. It's about the fact that it's got to be made in South Africa. You can't play the middleman, get something from Korea.
No, it's not going to work.
Just put a label on it, and because it was not made by South Africans for South Africans, to create jobs that we desperately need. So it's got to be there, which is where we come in as proudly South African. For any product to carry our logo, easily identifiable logo, like you say, we vet the product. There's criteria that we go through to make sure that that product was made locally. We've got a responsibility to do that, and we'll get there, Rob. You
will, and you are. And I think what would be a great big fillip would be to get some of the big retailers, putting it in their message as well. I used that example of the one wine advert that I saw that really was like, wow, that's incredible. Yeah. But get all those retailers, get those big national retailers to say, you know what, guys, you know what, you want to earn your money. You want people in your stores. You've also got to come to the party as well and show us that you're proudly South African by promoting this. So right across the board, and because it's still the footfall in the big supermarkets and the big retailers is still very, very high. And that's where you're going to get the most impact in terms of the turning over the goods, if you like, and the actual economy of that. So once they're on board and all the role players are coming on board and signing up, South Africans can do things. You give South Africans a reason to get together. And a reason to do it, and if it's centered around the flag and the nationality, we'll do it. South Africans will do it. They just need to be, asked to do it, basically.
Absolutely. Which is okay, and so I hope that we are working closely with the private sector and the public sector, with the consumers and all of that, because we all have to speak the same language. It can't be the responsibility just proudly South African. Everybody's responsibility. And you're right. We've proved as South Africans that we can stand in solidarity for anything. As proudly South African. We've demonstrated that before. We can stand in solidarity. And why not stand in solidarity to ensure that we uplift our own economy for ourselves and nobody else?
Yeah, exactly. And because everyone benefits, doesn't it? You lift someone up, someone else benefits, and it is just a shared experience. So it's all there. It's all there. And I think as well, what I really like, and it's what's happening on the socials, on the social medias. You see a lot of it, and it's even on each of us as well, not to be scared or not to be timid to give it a retweet or give it a repost or a like. When someone says, hi, I'm based in Midrand, I'm making these shoes, please retweet it, because someone that might buy a lot of them might be on your timeline. There are some of the celebrities in South Africa that are doing it. DJ Spoo just comes to mind. He's very good with that. There are others as well. But, we all see those. And I think sometimes we're a little bit shy to sort of, and I don't know why that is, but we shouldn't be. We should be sharing. We should be, because you're right. Somebody could be on someone's timeline that's looking to buy, 10,000 pairs of that type of shoe to put in their shoe store and retail it, or to retail through their own sort of online channels. And that person might just be looking at the advert that you've retweeted. It's exactly the same. It's local. It's local.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. We could all play our part just by retweeting somebody's post, like you say, could make a massive difference in somebody else's life.
Using social media in a positive way, in a really positive.
Because as South Africans, we can be hectic on social media. But we can also be responsible in the way in which we use it, and make a much needed difference.
And look out for those things, because that's where the world is today, isn't it? That's where we are. We're on the phones. We're even if Happy, even if we're sitting watching TV, you know, the phone pings.
You're still on the phone. I know.
You're still on the phone. So, you know, very, very powerful, very powerful. I see a lot of that stuff, and I see a lot of that, you know, please, I'm doing this, I'm manufacturing this, won't you retweet? And it's just, again, you talk about the easy things, you talk about the low hanging fruit before sort of into the, before, because, you know, government moves slowly. Government's a big sort of lumbering machine, isn't it? You know, we have it in our power just to hit that button.
There's many low hanging fruits around us every day. Talk about that. So there's a bit of a quiz that we're going to get into now. So what I want to ask you is, which is your most favorite short left destination in South Africa?
Oh, gosh. Wow. Can I just say anywhere, really? Look, it's... I don't have one, only because there's too many. And one thing I'm really looking forward to is having the time one day just to with a little caravan on wheels, sing a little mobile home, whatever you call it, and just taking off and seeing it all, and seeing it all, going up the west coast, going across the top, coming down the east coast, and through the middle, just doing it all, because. There's so much beauty, so much beauty.
I'm going to challenge you that with the day when you decide to do it, you know, that short left with the caravan, with the mobile home or whatever, they tweet us one day and say, finally.
Yes. I will do that. I'll do that.
Laura a call and remind her.
Yes. Okay. She'll be in the doing something like that.
Fantastic. And so when last were you in a public, when last did you use public transportation?
Public transportation would have been before. I mean, look, I'm based in Cape Town. We have My City. It's terrific. My City is, it's great. I mean, you can go from where I stay, catch My City into town. You don't have to worry about parking. It's you know, which I mean, I have driven into Cape Town recently, and getting parking like any big city is a bit of a mission. But the My City, you know, it's in, it's out, it's regular, it's frequent, it's lovely. I haven't had the occasion to use public transport since then. I like what's happening with the trains as well. The new trains that we're seeing around Cape Town, the new blue trains that are running, that are going to, you know, uplift again. I mean, it's new and it's lovely, and it's just, you know, so much about it. And that as well, public transportation, so much about that is making it easier, isn't it? Putting the lines of commerce and economy drivers in, and you know, you talk about the buses and the trains, and you know, if they're operating and operating well, it's all part of a driving economy. So
yeah, okay, fantastic. Now, your favorite local beer? Do you take beer?
I do take beer, although what I did during lockdown, I thought it was quite clever. You couldn't get any beer, right, during the part of lockdown.
Pineapple for home use.
Well, we did that. We did that like everybody. We went and bought our pineapples and mixed it all up and did it. But what you could get was non-alcoholic beer. There was no. I found some really nice non-alcoholic. You know, that's really changed a lot over the last few years, and it's really enjoyable. And I thought, okay, well, it's nice. You know, I can drink that. So my favorite, if I had to say, what's my Lion Lager. There you are, Lion Lager, the red can that's come back. Yeah, there you are.
Great. Fantastic. That's cool. No problem. Now,
but there's nothing wrong with those non-alcoholic beers. If you think, no, give them a try. Give them a try. That, and you know, especially if you're driving, right? Especially
if you're driving. Well, mind you, and during hard lockdown, you had no choice. That was the only thing available. You know?
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Good.
So in Durban they call it Bunny Chow. In Johannesburg they call it Kota. Which one is yours?
I have had a Bunny Chow. I haven't had a Kota. I know what it is. I know it's remarkable, the stuff that you can put in there. And the stories about, I read a story once about the amount of loaves of bread a famous Kota person in Soweto buys every day to make the quarters, the amount of loaves, it was like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
That many? I mean, it was a load of bread. It's a popular dish, isn't it? It's
No,
amazing.
it's very
So
popular. But
yeah.
but not only is it popular, so it has a very rich history to it. How it initially started. I don't know if you know the
No, I
story,
don't.
especially in the KZN, which is the home of the Bunny Chow. So we told years ago in factories in particular, during apartheid, is that black people were not allowed to have meat for during their lunchtime in the factories, and they would go to the kitchen and negotiate with the people that are working with the kitchen for them to give them a bit of meat, and they would scoop the top part of the bread, put the meat inside the hollow part, and put the top part on top to hide the meat in the bread. That's how Bunny Chow was formed. It
Wow,
was
amazing.
to hide meat from the
Amazing.
bosses around that time. Can you imagine?
That is
That's
amazing. That's amazing. I know that tradition continues with some people that go to soccer. They'll take their loaf of bread and put their
yes,
little thing
with
inside there to hide it.
a little nip.
Yes,
And
that's it. Yeah. So no, it's okay. I've just got my bread.
yes,
And then
yes. Talk about South Africans being creative. I mean, who would have thought?
no, there's always a way. There's always a way for South Africa. That's an amazing story. Yeah.
And so your local, do you have a local favorite designer? Or like that?
No, I'm not
Really?
that.
You're not a complicated guy. You just walk into a retail store and
Yeah,
buy.
I'm not that fashion conscious, but
You're not. You're not that.
no,
Yeah. But your local soccer club, I want to know that.
Well, I'm a pirate. Okay, so I'm a pirate fan.
Oh no! Okay.
Yeah, well, there we go. And apparently, we fixed the country the other day. We we fixed the country, so that's great. And we did.
You have fixed the country 2 weekends in a row.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
I'm Kaiser Chiefs, so I'm
yes.
I'm still wounded, Rob.
Yeah, well, look, yes, but what a great, rich heritage and history Kaiser Chiefs had, right? There's, they're two big clubs. They're two big clubs, aren't they? But Buccaneers this time. Yeah.
Talk about the two big soccer teams in South Africa. Can you imagine for 1 second, when life is back to normal, we can now go back to the stadium to watch a derby, and everybody who is a fan. So FNB Stadium takes about, I think, 90,000 soccer followers. So can you imagine if everybody in the stadium had to wear a supporter jersey that is made locally in a local factory by local? Can you imagine the value chain in that? Can you picture that scenario?
Yeah.
That would make from a job creation perspective.
And look, those big soccer clubs as well, they have 3 shirts each season. They have home, away, and another one just in case. They are redoing them every single season. There's another 3 that come out. We know why. It's not a secret. And you're absolutely right. And I was talking before, get the supermarkets to buy in, but get those football players. It's something that what we're talking about, intrinsically what we're talking about, will work with the buy-in of everybody. That's the only way it will work. Everyone's got to buy in it. And that idea, with those football clubs, with all the PSL and all the league teams, that's a great idea. Make it locally, get the label put on, show your support for the country. I mean, the country are your supporters. Let's show them some support through the strength that you're able to bring through your economic largesse and power to create that. That's wonderful. Yes, imagine. Could you imagine?
Could you imagine? And we alive to the fact that the jersey on the pitch, the 3 different jerseys on the pitch for the teams. We understand that there's dynamics around sponsorships and all sorts of. We understand all of that. We can park that for 1 second while we find ways around it. But for soccer fans, if the sporting fraternity would say to soccer fans, ensure that you buy your jersey locally. Let's support local factories that can manufacture these jerseys. Every fan is out because, as a Chiefs fan, I've got 3 jerseys as well. In the one for the little ones, one for your wife, your husband, or whatever the case may be. So, the ripple effect and the domino effect could be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, do people, but it's also educational, isn't it? Because people will go into the shops and buy those jerseys and maybe not care this way or that way where it's made. So it is, again, that educational process, isn't it, to go through it. And to that, when people actually, they're looking at 2 things. They're looking at the size of the jersey, but they're looking for the sticker. They're looking for the sticker. 2 things. 2 things. Yeah. Oh, it's just my size or the size for the kid. And where's that sticker? I want to see that sticker. Yeah.
Because if they understood the economic impact of their purchasing decision, that if I buy just 1 soccer jersey, I could be keeping 3 people in a job. They understood that.
Yeah, exactly.
We are good to go. We really are good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so as we nearing the end of our conversation, so I want to talk about the commercial that we have currently out there in the public domain, in light of the festive season and all of that. It's a very emotive message. We're not telling South Africans what to do. We just feel that in the last year, we've been told so much what to do, which was a good thing to do. Wash your hands, sanitize, wear your mask, keep your social distancing, stay at home. It's important. We still have to do that. But our message is very emotive. We are saying to South Africans, in light of the fact that we have to play a part in resuscitating our economy, we are asking people, going to the festive season, even beyond, to just try and prioritize on buying local. And so the advert is narrated by Dr. John Gani, who's a very good friend of the campaign, but it's on the back so when we put out the concept, or where we brought in a production company to give life to it, it's based on a soccer analogy. Now that we're talking sport, so it's about the fact that in a soccer game, like last week we were many points behind. Anyway, during halftime we went to the coach's room, and usually the coach would say to the team that's lagging behind, "Listen, guys, we've got to go back to the pitch. When we get back there, we've got to win this thing. We've got to come back. We've got to win this thing." And our commercial Game Time in Mzansi, Game Time in Mzansi, talks about that exactly, when we're saying during the pandemic, we were in the changing room to strategize how we're going to go back onto the pitch now that we're on level 1 and there's economy activity again. And it's about the fact that we're saying to South Africans, we're going to go back and ensure that we work towards resuscitating, revitalizing our economy. That's what Game Time in Mzansi is about. It's about the fact that we all know somebody who's looking for a job. That somebody could be you. It's about the fact that the 40% that the statistics, that we were told about yesterday in terms of, job losses, does not even factor in people who've given up looking for a job. That's what the Game Time in Mzansi is about. I'm hoping that you get some time to have a look at it. We'll send you a link. But what do you think of that thought process where we're using,
First thing I think of is how, we South Africans love football. I mean, you're talking about the day before Happy, about the, imagine us going back to, I assume, FNB to see the derby, and you just know in your mind, you can just see 100,000 people, another 50 or 60,000 outside, everybody else around the country watching it, gearing up for it. It's massive. So soccer is huge. You look at what we're doing in rugby and the success. Look at how we follow yesterday, Banyana, and they're magnificent. They're magnificent. What was it, 6-2 or something against our neighbours? So we are intrinsically a sport-loving. Oh, the cricket as well. You can't forget about the cricket. How popular the cricket is when it's on. So we are a country that loves our sport. We absolutely love sporting success, and we absolutely crave it. And particularly when the national side brings it home. You know, Sia Qualisi. I turned up to the centre of Cape Town last year when the Springboks came home with Sia on the bus and everybody else. You know, the turnout, it was the bus parade through the streets of Cape Town. They took it all over the country. I was in Cape Town, so I saw that one. It was amazing. It was, the crowd was absolutely amazing. It was absolutely packed. All South Africans out there to say well done. So we understand that sporting analogy. We understand the halftime chat. We understand the hunt for the chase for the result and for the victory and the win. We understand all that. So if you're hooking into that, it's got to be very successful. It's got to be halfway there to being successful, because we know it. Because we love our sports.
Absolutely, and we love our sport in general. And it's about saying the second half of our economy is about to begin. What are we going to do about it as South Africans? The second half is about to begin, and we want to spread this narrative as wide and as far and wide as we possibly can, because it has to resonate with every South African in the country.
Yeah, it does, and I think that we have to have I don't know if this is the right word, but maybe a holistic approach to it as well. And this sort of interestingly where I come into this, because I do the traffic every day, and I've seen that the way the traffic has changed has been dramatic, and it still is. And you look in the CBDs and the office blocks that are empty. And I talked before about how it was just a crazy time before COVID. We were sitting in traffic for an hour and a half to get to work, sitting in traffic for an hour and a half. That's 3 hours a day. Whoever ever wants to go back to that again? So we've got to put it all together. We've got a chance now to buy locally, to support locally, to do it from the comfort of home. The internet is there. It's not like building a bricks and mortar, necessarily a bricks and mortar building to conduct your business. You can do it with an internet connection. You can do it with a cell phone. You can run a business. So the cost of entry is quite cheap in a lot of cases compared to how it could be, or how maybe it used to be. So we have to sort of take if we wrap the whole thing up, we can really do something very, very productive as a country. Spurring the economy on, doing it in a way where everybody's a bit more relaxed, got a bit more time, a bit more flexibility as well with what they do, and it's just a whole change. And I, for one, not really that excited to go back to where it was before. Yes. I think now we're in the new world, and I'm really quite happy to sort of see that new world develop and be pushed along with the Buy South Africa product, over the top of that and overarching it. Everyone buying into, yes, here we are, let's make it work. Here we are, let's make it work.
Yeah. Let's make it happen.
We're on the train. Let's get that train, going faster. Yeah. So it is. It's all there for us to get, isn't it? And as well, I was talking about the energy situation before. That's all part of it as well. It's a new world, and I think that anybody that's maybe trying to take us back to where it was might not be the right path to be on. It's a different world, and fortune favors the brave. And
absolutely, and it's a different world that we can't ignore. Exactly. 4 hours is right here and now. It's a new norm that we have to embrace one way or another. Like you say, we must just find ways to make it happen. So my last question of the quiz is, which one South African artist would you like to meet?
Would I like to meet? I've got this reputation for sitting on the fence, right?
Okay.
I've got this reputation for sitting on the fence and always, not slipping off this side or not slipping off that side. So, but I've also been saying for probably about the last 10 or 15 years that South African music is like in a golden era, right? Look, there's been some great stuff in the past, but I think for the last 10 or 15 years that just the quality and the diversity of South African music, and the way that we keep reinventing it. The musicians keep reinventing something new, and it's big, and everyone buys into it. And it's lovely. You know, this, you talk about the sporting analogy, the music analogy is that's, you know, it's also something there to tap into, isn't there? There's also some really big superstars there doing some great music. You know, South Africans, they love their country as much as the other, and there's massive sort of what's the word I'm looking for? You know, we get some buy-in there and just push it along. So anyway, I'm avoiding the question. Which you may well notice, but
there's so many to mention. I can imagine.
Look, there is. It would be so unfair to single out one. You know, it would be so unfair.
Alrighty, Mr. Rob Busy, you know, it was an amazing pleasure to chat to you. In fact, I'll tell you this. So in 2021, proudly South Africa celebrates its 20-year anniversary since we were formed back then by Madiba.
I was going to say it was Nelson Mandela, wasn't it, who set it up? Yes.
It was during the first job summit when he was dealing with three, challenges in South Africa: inequality, unemployment, and poverty. That's how proudly South African was born 20 years ago. So 19 years ago this year, but next year we celebrate 20 years, and we are inviting friends of the campaign. You're a friend of the campaign, because you have such an amazing understanding of what we're trying to achieve and what we stand for, and what this official buy local movement of South Africa tends to and achieve. And by the way, the buy local phenomenon is a tried and tested phenomenon worldwide. So in South Africa, we know different. In fact, one of the most successful is Australia. You have roots in Australia, right?
Yes, I remember the Buy Australian campaign from when I lived there, and I think the thing that really might have worked for them was made in Australia. I think I remember the sticker saying, the logo saying "Made in Australia," and I always thought, we were talking about this and touched on it earlier, I always thought that was a very powerful message, because there it is on the shop shelf or wherever it is when you're about to buy it. There it is. It says "Made." There's no funny business. It's made in Australia. But it was. And look, that's a country that's not too different to ours in terms of natural resources and size of economy and what have you, in terms of mining and all those things that we do. If they can make it work, then we can make it work.
And we can learn from the best, because there's nothing stopping us as South Africa from learning. In fact, at some point before life happened, which is the COVID, we had plans to engage them and go over there and see how they do. We're the most successful in the SADC region as South Africa. Other countries, African countries come to us to come learn one or two things, but we also have to learn from other people and not be complacent and think we know, because we're nowhere near, realizing, our objective in trying to get everybody to know what buying local. Really?
And it's the right time, Happy. Really, I think to be pushing this now, because, like you say, we are at that level. We are at that changeable time. We are in that second half. We're well into the second half, aren't we? We're well into the second half, and it's just absolutely vital and essential. You spoke there about Madiba. He had three challenges. One was jobs. One was inequality. One was poverty. If you saw jobs, you saw the other two. You
sorted.
Yeah,
absolutely.
and you sought jobs. You sought jobs by having the people buy the stuff that's made locally, so that money transfers, stays in the country, but moves from here to there. That's wonderful. And I just wish you and your team all the very best. You're doing a great job. All the very best. Where if I can support, more than happy to do that. I'm a really big really big believer in the idea of proudly South Africa supporting local, buying locally. I think it's wonderful, and especially now, it's just the right time to push that message.
Oh, Thank you so much, Rob. Thank you, thank you. And on behalf of Proudly South African, I really just want to, thank you for your time, for heeding our call to join us and have a bit of a chat. But also from a personal capacity, I love you. I've always loved you. From the minute I, met up with you when we worked at the SABC. And clearly, everywhere I go, I keep thinking of you. Hence, we are talking here today. But thank you for supporting the work that I do. The same way I support yours. I mean, I really have so much respect for the kind of work that you do. And thank you for time out, to come and chat to us.
Thank you, Happy. Really, really thank you for having me. And you know that love comes right back to you. I know you feel it. It is there. It's beautiful. Thank you very much for the invite. And really, like I said, just wish you and your team all the best. It's people like you that are putting this together that are going to make a difference. It's hard. It's going to be a long, hard slog, but you'll get it. You'll do it. You've got the passion. All the very best.
Yeah. Much love to Laura and the boys.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
Great.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.